this geometry unit. This is an area and volume unit. And so this whole unit is, I'm doing the same thing with geometry coming up here too. Like, you guys are in the same spot. So I'm teaching like the same thing 4 times over. It's awesome. Will you please put your name on here so that if you leave it, it can get returned to you. So put your name on there. You can see all kinds of formulas here. I hope that you've played around with some area formulas already in elementary school and 6th grade. That's not a hashtag, it's just an H. Sorry. There we go. Okay. All right. How many of you know that the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height? Or base times height divided by 2? No? Yeah, 1, 2. Oh, okay. That's okay. So we have this nice reference sheet on here that's going to be pretty handy for you. But obviously notes are the best here. So we need to be able to find the perimeter and area of plane figures. Today, that's what we're working on. So, does anyone know what perimeter is? Yeah, Piper, what is perimeter? The lines all added together. You're exactly right. Yeah. So, perimeter is the sum of the side measures. MEASURES. The sum of the side measures around a figure. And specifically, it's for 2-dimensional figures like the ones that you see here. But perimeter, I like to just think about the middle of the word here, the rim, the edge of the sides of the figure, okay? So we want to find the perimeter of each shape here. What shape is this for number 1? It's a square. And what does the tick marks mean on those sides? They're all 7. Very good. All right. And so if we want the perimeter, it's just 4 times 7. Why is it 4 times 7? Because there's 4 of them. Yeah, so which is 28 centimeters. Very good. What does figure 2 look like? A rectangle. And if it's a rectangle, and it is a rectangle, what is the measure of the top of this rectangle? 28.1. Very good. And what about this left side? 15.6. Very good. So then how do we figure out the perimeter? You can add them all up, or I have two 28.1s plus 2 15.6s. So you could just add them all up if you want to, or I just counting how many I have of them to make the multiplying a little bit easier. I don't know why I'm going over there for a calculator. What did you get for an answer? Will you say that again? 87.4, yes. Okay, I believe you. So this is 87.4 feet. That's a pretty big rectangle, 28 feet long for the side. That's like this room. Oh, actually, it is this wall. That's funny. She's using dimensions from her room. Yeah, so basically the perimeter around the ceiling and the edge there and the floor here and that edge over there. Yeah, 87.4 feet, roughly. It's about probably close to that. What figure is this? Trapezoid, very good. And so for this trapezoid, what's this side over here going to be? 25 also, very good. So how do we find the perimeter? add them all together. So I'm going to say I have 2 25s plus 10.5 plus 28. And so, but we could just add them all up, is totally fine. So I have 2 25s plus 10.5 plus 28. And that gives me 88.5 meters long. All right, what's the perimeter of number 4 here? 30 inches. Very good. And that one was quite easy to just do in your head. Okay. All right, questions on perimeter. So perimeter is really easy. Just add everything up, all the edges added together. All right, area. Area, does anyone know what area is? So yeah, actually, we do a lot of the area using multiplication. So if I wanted to figure out what 5 times 6 is, that is, we like to use the area model. It is 30, and 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What it is how many units, how many unit cubes fill the space. So area is how much we fill the space in with little area units, cubes. So area is the amount of space occupied by a figure. All right, amount of space occupied by a figure. And so we have some formulas that are pretty nice. They are formulas that you do need to memorize, most of them today. You'll want to have them memorized. But the nice thing is we have the area of a square here. I don't like to memorize separate things, but if this is a square, what is each side length? Yeah, in this case, they're all 4s there. And the area of a square and the area of the rectangle are technically the same because it's really just like multiplying. That's all we're going to be doing. So it's really just, I like to say the area is really base times height is what we use typically. Base times height. So if I want to find the area, the base is really just one of these sides times the one that is perpendicular to it. And that's pretty important, that we have the base and the height are perpendicular to one another, then you'll always get it right. And that's really, really important. So what am I going to multiply for my area of my square? 4 times 4, which is 16. Now, when we do this, we're multiplying our units as well. So 4 meters times 4 meters, what's meters times meters? It's actually meters squared, okay? Yeah, because what we get here when we multiply meters times meters is we get little square meters. They're literally little squares, little square meters, and so that's why we call them meters squared, okay? What's the area for number 6 here? So 5 times 8, so base times height, and what is 5 times 8? 40, and what's the units? Kilometers squared, yeah, kilometers squared. Ladies, quiet please. Okay. Now, what shape are 7 and 8 and 9 and 10, really? Parallelograms, yeah, that's kind of a big hint over here. So a parallelogram, it turns out, you're gonna have to imagine with me. I did not have time to prepare what I would have liked to prepare for this, but can you imagine, see they've got this dotted line right here? You imagine that we cut out this parallelogram with scissors, we cut it out, and we took our scissors, and I'm going to cut that very straight up and down height there, and I'm going to cut that triangle off. And if I cut that triangle off, then I would slide it over, and it would fill in right here for me. And what shape do I create? A square rectangle, a rectangle really. Okay, and so it turns out that the area of a parallelogram is exactly the same as the area of a rectangle. It is simply whatever the base is times the height. And again, you have to make sure that the base and the height are perpendicular to one another. That is really key. And if you guys can learn that now, then geometry is going to be super easy, okay? So here's our parallelogram. And so the question is, we have three numbers here, the 7, the 7.7, and the 8.5. Which one is the height? Yeah, that is the height right there. How do I know that that's the height? Because it has this attached to the right angle, okay? It's got that little right angle on it. And then, so there's your, oh, it's kind of like an H. Look at that. See the H? Okay. See, there's an H right there. Do you see the H? That's your height right there. Okay, funny. Okay. So then what is the base? Now, base is kind of a weird word for geometry. It's not always the base. It is 7.7. Yeah, that 7.7 is up top, but it's also here on the bottom of our parallelogram as well. And so that is the thing the height is parallel to. Whatever dimension is parallel to that height, that's going to be our base. So in this case, our area is 7.7 times 7. That's a lot of sevens. So what's the 8.5? It's just sort of a distractor in this case. It is what we would call a slant height, because it's slanty. Does that make sense to you? Okay. All right. So what is 7.7 times 7? 53.9. And this is inches to what power? Squared. Yeah, inches squared. Very good. Okay, so once again, we have a parallelogram. What's our height and what's our base? What's the height? 10.8 is the height. Very good. And what's the base? 12. Good. And what's the 18.8? It's a slant height. It's not very helpful. It's not the full height. It's just too slanty. It's weird. Okay. So 10.8 times 12 is 129.6 square feet, I think. Is it right? 10.8 times 12? Yeah, 129.6. Good. Okay, one more here. 9 and 10. For number 9, what do you think the height is? Yeah, it's technically 8, though either would work. So here's our height between our bases. You can see there's a little right angle. There's a little H for height right there. And then, so what's the base? The 10. Yeah, that's the base. The 10 is either here on the top or this, like, piece here. You sort of have to imagine these figures can turn sideways however we need them to. They can be flipped and turned around. All right, so 8 times 10 is 80 square yards. All right, number 10. This one's pretty tricky. What's the height? 4. Yeah, here is our 4. So that's our height because it's got that little, it's attached to the perpendicular. All right, and so what's the base then? 11.5, yeah. That height line has to touch the bases. So yeah, that's 11.5, so either one of those. So the area is 4 times 11.5, which is going to be 46 centimeters, oh sorry, not centimeters, meters squared. we have? Ooh, okay. Area of a triangle. Area of a triangle. If I have a rectangle, and I know that area of a rectangle is base times height, but I only want a triangle. And maybe my triangle looks like that. So I want just the area of this triangle. How would we be able to figure out the area of this pink triangle? Cut it in half. Yeah, that's exactly right. So I could figure out the area of a whole rectangle, and all I have to do is cut it in half. And that is exactly what the formula for the area of a triangle is. It's half of base times height. Because every triangle came from a rectangle that we just cut in half somehow. Okay? And so that's kind of a nice little thing. It's just half. Again, the base and the height have to be perpendicular to each other, so that's really important. So for number 11, area of a triangle is 1/2. What's our base? 24. And what's our height? 27. Super easy. So in your calculator, if you wanted to do that on the calculator, you could just do 0.5 for half times 24 times 27. If you wanted to do it that way, you could do that. So 54 millimeters squared. Millimeters times millimeters is millimeters squared. Number 12, we have a triangle. The formula for the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. What's our base? 4. What's our height? 7.5. So we have 1/2 of 4 times 7.5. So in my calculator, again, I could do 0.5 times 4 times 7.5. 15. And centimeters times centimeters is centimeters squared. Good. All right. Question so far? Is this okay? I think formulas are great, right? You just have to apply the formula. Okay. Oh, so these are such good questions. 13 and 14. Again, we have triangle shapes, so I know that the area is going to be 1/2 base times height. But again, looking at number 13, you have to be able to figure out what's the height and what's the base. So what's the height? Well, I go with 2.9, but you're not wrong either way. What's the base? Not. It's 5.8. Yeah. Why is it those two values? Yeah, because they're touching the right angle. So important. So this is our, it doesn't matter if it's the base or the height, but they both get to that right angle. So those are the two pieces of information that we need there. Okay, so that is pretty tricky to know. That right angle is super important. So 1/2 times 5.8 times 2.9 gives me 8.41 kilometers squared. All right, again, on number 14, I have a triangle, so I know it's 1/2 of the base times height. So again, we got to figure out what's our height and what's our base. What's the base then? Okay, so I'm going to call that the height is the 8.5 part. And then what's connected to that dotted line? The 10. Yeah, so there's our right angle. And so we've got our dotted line. That's going to give us the height technically. And then here is the base that we're touching. All right, so it is pretty particular. That right angle tells us So we have 8.5 times 10, which is 42.5 inches squared. Okay. Raise your hand if you're feeling pretty good. Okay, great. So just the trapezoid is left. The trapezoid is a complicated formula. Are you ready for this? So this is the hardest one. What we have here is a kind of screwy looking rectangle, okay? It is kind of weird. And what we would like to do is sort of morph it into a rectangular sort of shape. And that's kind of the neat thing about area, is that you can kind of cut things off and maybe rearrange some things. So it's just a nicer shape to find the area of. And that's sort of how we figured out all these formulas in the first place. And so what's interesting about this particular trapezoid is what we want to do is figure out the average of the bases. And so here I have, on this particular figure, right here, the 14 centimeters represents what, do you think? The height. So that's the height. But our trapezoid has a bottom and a top. And we call those, both of them, bases, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to basically take the average of those. So what we do for the area is it is 1/2 the height times the sum of the bases, base 1 plus base 2. It's really height times the bases again, but we're taking an average. We're adding the bases and dividing them by 2, so we get the middle of them. That creates a rectangular shape, okay? And so it's kind of just a really interesting formula. So for the area here, it's going to be 1/2 times our 14. And then we're going to add the two bases together. So the 24 plus the 11. What's half of 14? 7. And then what is 24 plus 11? 35. So just so you know that you can do math in your head. Half of 14. That's kind of nice. Why did I need to add the 24 plus 11? You could do it that way, yeah. I've already taken care of the divide by 2 part. But the parentheses, order of operations, you remember that? Oh, so long ago. All right, let's see. So 7 times 35 is 245. And this is centimeters squared again. If you typed it in, like 0.5 times 14 times 24 plus 11, as long as you use your parentheses, you get the same answer. And you could do 0.5 times 14 and then the parentheses 24 plus 11. You'll still get the same answer. But be careful, I'm going to say. Just be careful. All right, number 16. What's the height? 11.3 is the height. And what are our bases? Yeah, 17 and 9 are our bases. So our area is 1/2 the height times the sum of the bases. So 17 plus 9. And that's exactly how I would write it down. And then you can use your calculator. And so we get an area of 146.9 square miles. All right, let's look at number 18 again. It's kind of wonky, isn't it? I would like to take this and sort of spin it around so I'm looking at sort of a bottom and a top. Do you see that? Like, does that make it better or worse? I don't know. But what's the height in this one? 2. Yeah, very good. That's our height. Very good. Which means what's our base 1 and base 2? Yeah, very good. So there's our two top pieces. Again, they're connected to that height by those right angles. So that's really, really important. So our area is 1/2 times the height times the sum of the bases. So 1/2 times 2 times 7.1 plus 2.7. And we get 9.8 inches squared. Okay, do you have questions for me? Okay. You guys have a delta mass.